join me for a few days of Christmas homemaking as we wrap some gifts, write some Christmas cards, and enjoy the season. We are just a couple weeks away from Christmas, and so today I'm trying to get some of my Christmas preparations accomplished, such as writing out our Christmas cards. I typically just give out Christmas cards to those that I see for the holiday, but this year I did decide to write some and mail them, which was fun and something different to do. I'm also using this week to finalize the meals that I'm going to make for Christmas Day, as well as what I'm going to be bringing as gifts that are homemade and handmade to different gatherings that we're going to. But before we get into that, I was craving blueberry muffins. I don't know if it's a pregnancy craving or not, but I really wanted blueberry muffins, but we didn't have our muffin tray because we had left it at my husband's parents. And so I said, what am I going to do? I really want to make blueberry muffins. And so I ended up using a blueberry muffin recipe from Farmhouse-on-Boone, but I made it into a loaf, and it's definitely not the right texture for a loaf of bread versus the muffin. It has that muffin texture to it, which is a little bit more dense, and I'd say it's like a drier dough. And so in a muffin, it's perfect. It tasted just like a blueberry muffin, but in the form of a bread. So I will link the recipe down below if you want to give it a try. I am excited to try her blueberry bread loaf because that's what I was originally going to make since I didn't have the muffin pan, but I didn't have any lemons, and the recipe called for lemons. I didn't have any lemons or lemon juice, so I decided to just make the muffin recipe, and I made it in a bread loaf, and it was fine. It was yummy, and I would definitely make it again. So I wanted to sit down and just have a really honest and transparent chat about Christmas this year, because I share a lot about homemaking and learning the art of homemaking. If you're new here, I work full-time. I'm not what I would consider a homemaker, but I really want to learn the art of homemaking. I want to learn those homemaking skills. I never really had a desire to when I was younger, and now that I'm married and I have a home and we have a baby on the way, homemaking is something that I really am passionate about and learning about. I know over the last year I've shared a lot about my homemaking journey, and I've shared some of my failures and also some wins, and so I just want to sit down and be really transparent about some failures today. So I'm officially in my 3rd trimester, which is very exciting. If you've been pregnant before or you've known anybody who is pregnant, I'd say the 3rd trimester is when you start to get a little bit more tired, and there's a lot of mental capacity thinking about things you need for baby, especially as a first-time mom, and just mentally trying to prepare for this new season. And so the closer I get to meeting baby, the less I want to commit to doing, because I'm just like, there's so much still to do. You guys know that earlier this year, before we found out I was pregnant, I started working on a quilt, and then I pivoted with that, and once we found out we were having a baby girl, I started making a new quilt for her. Christmas time, I started to think about Christmas. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put her quilt to the side. I'm on the hand stitching part now. It's like, I'm gonna put her quilt to the side, and I'm going to make some handmade Christmas gifts this year. And so I did have like this really great plan starting in October. I was like, okay, I have X amount of people I want to make some handmade bookmarks for, quilted bookmarks. And so I started the process in October. I said I'm going to make these quilted bookmarks and I'm going to embroider their initials on them. And I was only making like 4, I think. Yeah, I was only planning on making 4 bookmarks. So I was like, okay, if I start in October, start quilting them. Never done anything with embroidery before, but I had all of the materials needed for embroidery. So I was like, okay, I can learn. I'm only doing one letter, so it won't be that hard. And I have 2 months to figure it out. Well, it is now 2 weeks before Christmas, and I actually made a bookmark. One of them I completely finished about a month ago, and that bookmark I'm actually pretty happy with. It's definitely not perfect, so I thought, okay, well, if this is how the first one came out, they're only going to progressively get better. And honestly, that has not been the case. I made a second one a couple weeks ago, and I'm just not happy with how it turned out. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that one to the side. I have 2 left. I'll do the last 2. And then if I have time, I'll revisit the one that I wasn't super happy with. Well, then I made another one the other day. And honestly, I'm just not happy with how they're turning out. It's not so much the bookmark. Like, the bookmark itself wasn't that hard to do. I followed Pink Hot Sew's video, which I'll link down below if you're interested. She makes really great sewing videos, so I like to watch her. So it wasn't the actual like sewing the bookmark together that was hard, but I think I probably shouldn't have committed in my head to embroidering them because I had no experience with embroidery. And I haven't had enough time actually learning how to embroider. I figured that because I was just doing the one initial, it was something, and I was going to do a very simple like back stitch. I think that's what it's called. I don't even really know. If you know anything about embroidery, leave what it's called down below. But basically, it's just like a super simple like back stitch technique. And so I kind of thought like I could just do it. And I mean, yeah, I could just do it, but I'm not happy with the final result. And to me, if I'm going to give those handmade gifts, do they have to be perfect? No, but I want to be proud of them. I want them to be something that the people that I'm giving them to know that I took my time and I was thorough and thoughtful with them. I was talking to my husband, and honestly, I was like, you know what? I think we're just going to close this idea for this holiday season and try again in the future. So I wanted to share that because I think it can be easy to see different homemakers and see all the things that they might be really good at, and it can make you feel like, wow, I have none of those skills. Or maybe you are watching somebody who is newer to homemaking and they're seemingly showing you how they perfected their skill after just starting to learn it. And I just think that's not super realistic. There's definitely certain skills that you're able to, if you have more time to put into, like you can work on them quickly. Like I'm sure if I really took some time to practice embroidery, within like a week, if I practiced every night or something like that, I'm sure that I would get to a place where I felt confident. But I'm just like, we have like 2 weeks till Christmas. I have quite a few other handmade gifts that I want to make that are food related, that require me to bake. So I'm going to be doing a ton of baking the week of Christmas, and I want to do that. That's not something that I'm like overwhelmed by. The bookmarks, it's just something that I'm not super comfortable with yet. And so rather than trying to finish those or keep retrying until I get them perfect, and then also have all these other things that are going on this time of year, I just thought, you know what, it's okay. My whole goal this year, right, was simple Christmas, and it's okay to just say we're good for now. You don't have to do it all. Well, I didn't think I was doing it all before. I just realized as I get closer to Christmas time, this is probably not the time to try a bunch of new things, especially with we're trying to work on the nursery and prepare for baby. That I just decided it's probably not the best time. It would be easy for me to only show the end products that I'm really happy with and proud of and say, see, look what I learned how to do, and now I'm giving them as gifts and things like that. But there are definite failures along the way, and that's why I call this series the Learning the Art of Homemaking, because it is an art. It is something that you have to learn how to do. I think a lot of women, at least around my age, like we didn't grow up seeing our moms or even a lot of our grandmothers we're not doing these homemaking skills a lot of the times, skills that we have to acquire. It's okay to just pick a couple and try to perfect them, or pick one at a time, perfect it, and then along the way add in some new skills. I wanted to share with you guys this handmade Christmas planner that I made in order to keep track of my Christmas meal plan, the homemade gifts that I'm making for others, and then also any homemade food gifts. So on this planner, I have a spot for your Christmas meal plan. So if you are cooking for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or Christmas gathering, you can plan out your meal plan here. I also have a spot for handmade gifts. So if you're making anybody gifts, you can put what gift you're making them, who it's for, when you need it made by. I also have the food category. So if you're making any like cookies or anything like that, you can add that here. And then I also have a grocery list, so you can write down exactly what ingredients you're going to need. And then I also have a to-do list at the bottom in a notes section. If you guys are interested in this planner, I'm going to link it down below. I created a free PDF for you guys so that you can keep track of everything you need for the next few weeks leading up to Christmas, and I hope it's helpful to you. This year I chose this really pretty natural wrapping paper that has black Christmas trees on it. Very neutral, goes for anybody. But then I added this really pretty like ruffle velvet ribbon that I got at Michael's. This was a really fun way to add a pop of color, and I'm really happy with how the wrapping has turned out. you.